Hello, we're up to episode 5 in our decade series as we leave the 1800s behind and enter the 1900s, which means it's time to do a very busy, bustling station right in Zone 1 in the heart of central London. It's Covent Garden.
Covent Garden opened in April 1907 as part of the Brompton and Piccadilly Circus Railway. That's what we know now as the Piccadilly line. It opened a few months later than the other stations along this central stretch of the Piccadilly. Nowadays, it's a Grade 2 listed station with its fabulous arts and crafts style, oxblood red tiles on the outside, and inside Covent Garden's own colour scheme of pale yellow, green and brown. It looks great. There's also the nice touch of the to the trains and exit signs being designed into the tilework. When it first opened, it was a small station sufficient to serve the local markets, but over the years the area has grown. And today, it's a bustling tourist spot, so much so that previously TfL have run campaigns to encourage people to get out at Holborn or Leicester Square instead and walk the last part to Covent Garden. It now sees over 18 million passengers a year. That's around 50,000 a day, which makes it the busiest station on the network not to have escalators. And in fact, is one of a small number of Zone 1 stations to only have lifts and stairs down to the platforms.
Which has got me thinking, how many deep level tube stations, by which I mean Central Line, Northern Line, Bakerloo Line, Jubilee Line, how many of those stations in Zone 1 don't have escalators, they just have lifts? So not including Met, Hammersmith, Circle, District Line in Zone 1, but the deep level tube stations, there can't be many that only have lifts and no escalators.
So I studied a tube map and had a count up. And there's Borough Covent Garden, Edgware Road, Bakerloo, Elephant and Castle, Gloucester Road, Piccadilly, Goose Street, Keddington, Lambeth North, Lancaster Gate, Queensway, Regent's Park, Russell Square. That's 12 stations in total that are deep level tube stations in Zone 1 which don't have escalators. They use lifts. And where there are lifts, there is also a staircase, which leads me to possibly the most famous thing about Covent Garden.
So many years ago, I once made a video, I think it's still on YouTube, called All Tube Stations Have Got 15 Floors or 15 Stories, and it's to do with this. This is the station where it all started. There's loads of signs dotted around the fact that at Covent Garden here, there's signs up saying, you know, please use the lifts. There's 193 stairs here at Covent Garden. That's the equivalent to a 15-story building. And then the joke was, I'll link to the video, is that I then saw this same sign at other tube stations like Hampstead and Russell Square. Even though they had a different number of steps, their signs also still said that they were 15-story buildings. So somebody was just, you know, not doing the maths correctly and just saying all tube stations had 15 stories no matter how many steps they had. The PA is saying, please consider using the lift. You can walk the stairs if you want to. So I just feel like it would be rude of me to come to Covent Garden and not, for old time's sake, walk up all 193 stairs. It's quite a few people coming down. I've stopped halfway for a pause. I'm the only person going up. There's 4 lifts here at Covent Garden, and a few years ago, I'm so old that I have old footage now, I was lucky enough to be here on the night that they refurbished and replaced one of the motors for one of the lifts.
Yes, in July 2014, I was here overnight and recorded video of the 2 new lift motors being taken into Covent Garden Station to replace the old ones. And in my huge box of DV tapes that I've kept, can I find that footage? No, I can't. So all I have is this one solitary photo taken on a very warm summer's night around 1:30 a.m. in the morning as the new motors were wheeled in, ready to be installed. But lifts, stairs and 15 stories aside, there is of course one very famous thing about Covent Garden.
Yeah, the most well-known fact about Covent Garden is that the distance between it, which is just back there, and Leicester Square just down there, is the shortest between any tube stations on the entire network, just 260 metres down at train track level. If you're doing it up on the street, you walk along Longacre here, you can walk it in just a couple of minutes. But the real test, I think, is to do what I'm about to do, which involves going to Leicester Square on the Northern Line.
And so this is where I think that if your destination is Covent Garden and you're travelling up or down the Northern Line to get there, then would it be quicker to immediately get out at Leicester Square and walk, rather than change and wait for a Piccadilly Line train to take you one stop east? And so here, I've simulated me arriving on a Northern Line train, walking along the interchange corridor, down to the Piccadilly, where I get straight onto a train and then travel the 39 seconds to Covent Garden, where I arrive at the station, go up the steps, along the corridor towards the lifts, lucky there's no queues, into the lift, which doesn't take long, only a moment, and then outside here to where that whole thing, I look at my watch, has taken me 4 minutes and 8 seconds. And so then I go back to Leicester Square to try it again. But this time, wait for an arriving train. Imagine I've just hopped off of it. And this time, I follow the signs for the exit, along the corridor, up the escalators, walking on the left-hand side, I should note, only takes a moment, through the barriers, up some more steps, outside into the sunshine and fresh air of London, and then a brisk walk down Longacre towards Covent Garden Station to the same point, and that's taken me 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Just 4 seconds difference.
But on the train part of that test, when I waited for a Northern Line train, then walked down to the Piccadilly line, it took me 6 attempts to get to a point where I walked to the Piccadilly and a tube was sat there waiting for me and then departed almost immediately. And it took around the same time, 4 minutes, but the exact times will be on screen, to get to here that it did to walk, i.e. if you're swiftly off the train and straight onto a Pic train and then straight up the lifts as I was, it takes you 4 minutes. And if you get off a train and you walk along Longacre, it takes you 4 minutes. In all likelihood, when you get to the Piccadilly line platforms, you'd have to wait 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes for a Piccadilly line train. So I'm saying it's roughly tied if you get a train straight away. So in the majority of cases, it'll always be quicker to get out at Leicester Square and just walk down Longacre.
And also, don't forget, next time you're here at Covent Garden, come to the front end of the westbound platform and have a look at the heritage roundel that's here. From 1908, it's called a red disc style roundel. There's one here, there's also one at Ealing Broadway, and I think there's one at Tufnell Park as well.
And of course the thing which we all know is at Covent Garden, which we come to Covent Garden for, and that is the Transport Museum right there. What you might not know is that if you've never been, you can go into the shop, and the shop is brilliant, full of maquettes, socks and cushions and everything you want, books and maps and stuff. You can go into the shop at any time for free. If you do buy a ticket to go into the museum, that ticket is then valid all year. I'll put a link in the description to how you can get to the museum. Do come to Covent Garden for that, and if you do, then take the lifts, don't take the stairs, or maybe just get the tube to Leicester Square and then walk up, because it's almost usually slightly quicker. That is it. That is Covent Garden from the 1900s. Our next decade will be the 1910s.